Let's look at the Pacers side of this. What do they need to do to adjust? What are you looking at? What's like the number one thing you're like, yeah, that didn't work, or I want to see more of that, or whatever.
Well, I already kind of said, I want them to just make it more stay home,
Hmm.
live with Shea scoring. You're not going to be able to stop it. They tried to take everything away in game 2, and it showed that they weren't able to take anything away. I think stay home with the other guys. Focus on making sure Jalen Williams doesn't get going. Make sure Chet doesn't get going. Shea's going to drop 40, and you in that situation, but you don't want him to drop 40 and have 8 assists,
Right.
9 assists. You want to kind of cut that down. Go back to the game 1 levels of having 2 or 3 assists. The other thing they got to do, and this is kind of a little bit more on the offensive end, is they got to get back to running. I know it's hard against the Thunder, but they got to get up the court quicker. And I know this is one of the things the Thunder are doing to try to slow them down, meeting them at half court, pressuring
Hmm.
them and whatnot. But they need to find a couple more ways to get into their offense quicker. The third thing is they have to get Tyrese Haliburton going in the first quarter. Listen, I know everybody's going to say and put it all on Haliburton. He has to find a way, all that stuff. We all know the first take stuff. Who's got to step up type of bullshit that we're going to get across the board from the talking heads. But I think it comes down to fundamentally how are we going to attack? I think you saw it in the second half where he began to get going a little bit. They went a little bit away with him starting the action with the ball in his hands, and worked with him off ball, having him come off DHOs to get him downhill. They found more success with that. I think you need to go to that stuff much earlier, and you need to get off to a good start in the first quarter in this game. And I think that's how you do it.
Yep. What's fascinating here are the adjustments that are kind of going back and forth, even just to the first two games, right? In game one, the big adjustment that Rick Carlisle made from the first half to the second half was let's get Haliburton off the ball. We're going to run Nembhard, Miles Turner pick and roll, and we're going to have Haliburton play off of that a little bit. And it worked, right? Nembhard got downhill a lot more. Oklahoma City's pick and roll defense wasn't nearly as good as it was in game two, and they took advantage of that. And then in game two, you saw early on, Haliburton had the ball in his hands a little bit, but they also tried to go back to that Nembhard Turner pick and roll stuff, but Oklahoma City had scouted it, right? So
Yeah.
adjustment to the adjustment, they counter, they start flattening that out. I thought their switches on pick and rolls, especially on the small pick and roll stuff that Indiana wants to run, I thought Oklahoma City's switching was awesome on that stuff in game two, and they kind of flattened them out, and they had to get away from it, and then they started to try to get Haliburton back on the ball, and they never really could find a way for Haliburton to get going until later in the game. To your point, then they started running a little bit more dribble handoffs. I love that stuff. There was one play in the first half also where it was off a Thunder miss, and it was just a little hit ahead pass and then a pitch back to Haliburton, and he got the ball going downhill, right side of the floor, easy score. And obviously, it's easy to get that stuff off of a miss and things like that. But that's, if your defense tightens up a little bit more and you're able to get those runouts a little bit more often, then that's going to help. But finding
Well,
ways to get Haliburton earlier shots on the move, however it's going to be, whether it's those pistol actions or the dribble handoffs or whatever it's going to be, it just feels like maybe that's the next thing that they do.
yeah, and then one other thing I'd like to see them do is run a little more. They did a good job in game 1 making the Thunder defense have to decide who are we guarding,
Mm-hmm.
where they got a lot of threes on the wings and the corners because it put the Thunder big men into questioning. Oh, am I rotating out to this or am I helping on a roll? Like, just get more actions, maybe along the sidelines of like a double screen kind of towards the
Right.
the sideline, which will open up opportunities for some of these bigs to pop out and put the Thunder's defense into moments where they have to question and think, what are we going to do? Caitlin Cooper talked about it a ton leading up to the series, and I felt like they got away from that in game 2.
I think that's a great call because the Thunder are trying to force you to the sideline. So it's almost like using their strategy against them. Like, all right, you want to force us to the sideline? Well, we have this plan, this plan, and this plan for when we're on the sideline. It's like the opposite of taking the chair out from under you. It's like, oh, you want to kind of do, okay, well, let us come here and we'll figure it out from there. I think that's a good call. And then if you're able to, the one thing that I haven't seen a lot of is the Haliburton jump pass. I haven't seen a lot of that sort of play reversal jump pass action very much in this series. I don't know how I don't know how on
It's
purpose it
hard, dude.
is.
It's hard, dude, against the Thunder. The hands are
Exactly.
everywhere
I'm
with the
wondering if he had
deflections
made
and
the
things.
decision going into the series. Probably not a jump pass series for me.
I don't know if he purposely made that decision as much as it's not there in the moment. Like, I
Right.
don't think he goes into these games thinking I'm going to make these jump passes. If they're there, he's going to do it. I just don't think they're available so much with, again, just how well the Thunder defense, they get deflections, they get their hands on everything. They're all over the place.
I wonder if there's an opportunity there, though, especially if they start running things a little bit wider and they can kind of get that ball reversal thing going. Anything else from the Pacers that you're looking at?
No, I mean, we talked about Siakam trying to attack the smalls a little bit. I think they need to get more, aggressive there. Once they get Haliburton going, I think it'll open up a lot more things where he'll get more opportunities and cleaner looks for guys like Turner, for Toppin and whatnot. Will get more knockdown threes in that instance.
I don't think they've had an answer for Siakam. That's been I feel like the Pacers have always had a pretty good advantage when Siakam's got the ball. There's been a couple of post-ups where he's had it stripped away or something like that, but you live with that, I think, if you're Indiana, moreover. But it does feel like they can maybe hit that button a little bit more. Go to Siakam a little bit more on those smalls and do that more. It just never feels like the Thunder have a great option for that.
Especially against the smalls. I think that's the important one there.
Any other thoughts lingering after these two games?
No, man, I'm also just already tired of the ratings talk, which is bullshit. Like, I'm tired of this already. Like, this is stupid. If this is like what your life is about, is worried about the ratings for Disney and oh my, what's this multi-billion-dollar company gonna do because the ratings are bad? Like, honestly, like just turn this off. Turn all basketball podcasts
The ratings
off.
thing is like it's just
stupid.
It feels like it's confirmation bias for people who hate the NBA. It's like, see, this is why your sport sucks.
No, it's them trying to get their grift going again. So many people, and I know every time I come on here, I talk about it, but so many grifters have made their money off of this stuff. It's really just dumb to me, because every time I hear that, I just say, cool, y'all freaked out about it for 5 years, and all I got to say is $77 billion.
The ratings have never mattered less than they do right now for anybody involved. They just signed the contract. The ink is still wet. What have you thought about the broadcast, the presentation? I know that there's been a lot about the NBA Finals script. Is it on the court? I'm also been a little confused because sometimes the NBA Finals trophies are on the court and then sometimes they're not. But
so
those are all of my comments about what's on the court. I've noticed it, I guess.
I guess this is more of a sign of me of like, I don't notice.
Right.
Until somebody somebody brought it up at like midway through game one. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then kind of kept it moving. Cause I think the story is that they did have the decals, but they were too slippery. And it would have led to obviously guys falling on the court and whatnot, which is, it's funny. It was my first reaction when somebody said, oh, the decals aren't there or whatever. They didn't do a huge presentation or anything like that. Like, okay, the superimpose it, on the screen or whatever. Like, yeah, okay, we're okay, I guess.
See, I had thought it was superimposed. I didn't know it was an actual physical decal on the court.
Normally it is.
So
right. Like what you saw in game 2 was superimposed.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in Indiana, to see if that script is there, and then we'll learn a little bit about how online the NBA is.
Well, but I think it might be. They might be working. Yeah. They want to have it. They want to have it, not to the detriment of the player safety. But right. I just got to say again, too, this is for people that complain about it or, oh, this. Really? That's what we're concerned about? It's a 1-1 finals. That's what we're going to talk about?
It's crazy.
Like, that's what we're concerned about? Come on, man.
As you know, I'm an all Florida sports fan. So my Florida Panthers are in the Stanley Cup. And one of the things I see about the NBA Finals thing is like, oh, well, if you don't present it to us and make it look important, then we're not going to assume it's or whatever. I don't know. You just kind of hear that argument that's out there. And I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell the difference between the Stanley Cup Finals. Like before game 1 of the Stanley Cup, they bring out the Stanley Cup and they say, hey, here's the Stanley Cup. This is the thing everybody's playing for. All right, let's play hockey. And that's it. It's like, okay, cool. There's no superimposed stuff. There's nothing crazy. There's no Super Bowl halftime show. There's nothing like that in the NHL.
It's
And the
just-
NHL Stanley Cup has rocked. And I actually have really enjoyed the NBA Finals too, regardless of decals.
I honestly, it's just people trying to find things to complain about, right? It's literally that.
Yeah.
And it's if it's that, like, if it's so important to you, I have to just question what is important to you in life. Because if it's like it's not presented like the NBA, they're the last two teams playing. I mean, what else do you need?
Right. People saying that they make the in-season tournament a bigger deal. And I'm like, no, they didn't paint the court because they think it's a bigger deal. They painted the court because it was inherently confusing and they needed a way to differentiate it. This is not confusing. To your point, these are the last two teams standing. This is how championships work forever and always. This is just how it is. Last thing on the finals. Mike Breen, early in game 2, awarded Tyrese Haliburton with a bang in the first quarter on a three-pointer. He said he owed Haliburton a bang. We're going to be the judge and the jury on this. Is Mike Breen allowed to do that? I know he's the creator and the givers of the bangs. I understand that. But is he allowed to sort of retroactively award a bang from, I guess he didn't give Haliburton the bang at the end of game 1.
He didn't.
And that was and so he's like, now I'm going to retroactively give him a bang. Is he allowed to do that?
Yes. Listen, I'm not one of these dudes when like a movie comes out or whatever, and like I can't, the director created this movie, wrote it, and then directed it this way, and people don't like it. I go, cool, go write your own movie and direct it and get it produced and all that stuff and do it. Then you can complain, right? None of us get to complain. If all Mike Breen wants to do throughout the entire finals is just constantly give out bangs, then that's he created this. We only have it in our lexicon because of him. So yeah, if he felt like, yo, I screwed up and I owe a guy a bang and he wants to give it to him.
I disagree. I don't think he's allowed to. I think it's become, he's created
You
it.
don't get to make the rules,
He's
Wes.
given it to us. It's for all of us now. It's public domain.
Make the rules, Wes. Yeah, we could say it. It won't carry the same impact as him. We may not like when he says it.
I'll tell you, it didn't carry the same impact in the first quarter in game 1 when Tyrese Haliburton just made a random three.
That's perfectly fine. But he doesn't know if we're going to get another Tyrese Haliburton game winner. So he has to give it to him.
I think once he missed the opportunity, it's like missing a shot. If Shai missed the shot at the end of game 1, doesn't mean that at the beginning of game 2 when he makes a shot, it counts for the end of game 1.
Let Mike Breen do whatever the hell he wants, Wes. God damn it, man.
I very much agree with that for the most part, except for the handing out of the bangs.